Harris, and we will be singing our signature song for you tonight, You Are the New Day.
You are the new day.
Good evening. Thank you, singers. Welcome to the Fall 2015 National Honor Society induction. We've all been sitting up here saying how wonderful the kids look tonight. They clean up pretty well compared to how they show up to school most days. Just want to thank you all for being here, and really thank you for the support of your students. I was just noticing that I recognized most of these guys a couple weeks ago at the Kansas Honor Scholars Banquet. So it's good to see them here tonight and being inducted into this. I'd like to introduce Diana Calderon now, the president of the National Honor Society, and she's got some opening remarks for you.
Hello, good evening, and welcome to this year's NHS induction ceremony. First off, I want to thank all the parents, teachers, and friends who are here tonight to support your loved ones. National Honor Society is a nationwide organization established to recognize outstanding students. It serves to honor the student in their leadership, academic, community, and character excellence. They have all strived, dedicated their time, and have pushed to succeed in education. Tonight, we honor them for their hard work. Thank you. And now, I will pass it over to Melanie Ralston, mythology, speech, and junior English teacher. Thank you.
I don't mind talking to the first three rows. I may ignore you in the back. I talk to these guys all the time, so it's a little less nerve-wracking. Thank you, Diana. Let me be maybe one of the first who are going to congratulate you on this achievement this evening. I think that being accepted into the Topeka West National Honor Society is an accomplishment that not many individuals actually get the opportunity to earn. And to the families and friends and the teachers of these young adults, be proud of what they've accomplished and know that you are a big part of this as well. For without your support, they wouldn't be sitting here tonight receiving this very prestigious award. I'm here this evening because of Ms. Corcoran, who serves as the advisor to our Topeka West chapter. She approached me actually last spring about being one of the speakers at one of the induction ceremonies this year. So being the first one asked, I said I would love to do that in the spring of 2016. And I also thought, well, that's pretty clever of her to ask a year ahead of time, because how can you actually back out by saying, oh, I have a doctor's appointment or a previous engagement, because, you know, given a full year's, you know, kind of practice, what can you do? So I agreed to speak at the 2016 induction ceremony, which in my mind simply put off the inevitable, I suppose. Just because I am the speech teacher, it does not make this any easier for those of you who have to listen to me on a daily basis about how to do all of these things. But because of some scheduling issues and some concerns, Ms. Corcoran texted me later and asked if I would be able to speak at this fall's induction ceremony. You know when that fight or flight kind of feeling hits and you decide, how can I get out of this? And again, I of course graciously accepted, because of this is a fine honor, and I would be remiss if I didn't stand up here and give you some of my thoughts about what you've done this year. Plus, she promised me cookies, so I immediately began to think of a message when someone who will remain anonymous said to me, well, why don't you just use a speech you used the last time you spoke for the National Honor Society? And I paused, and I'm not going to lie, I wondered for a moment if there were going to be any family members in this group that were in the class of 1998 induction group. I mean, I'm sure the speech was okay, I'm sure, and I immediately went to my drive, although they weren't invented then, and tried to find that speech with no avail. So again, I thought, well, 1998 is probably on a floppy disk somewhere in my desk drawer. But when I did finally find the speech after a second frantic attempt through my file cabinet, I realized it was about, you know, making careful plans for your future, to be happy in your endeavors, you know, blah, blah, blah. Certainly a topic that is very timeless and potentially relevant. But as I read through the speech, I kind of started to feel guilty, which many of you know is a very easy emotion for me to feel, making it easy to say yes to the things that a lot of other people will say no to, kind of like this. And I thought, geez, this really isn't right. I mean, I know I wrote the speech and everything in it is probably correct, but then I started wondering, would it be ethical? As you might know, I have many books about persuasion on my shelf, and I found my favorite, which happens to be Aristotle's Rhetoric, that was written in 330 BC. He gives the term ethics a twofold definition. First, ethics are what you bring to a situation, such as your honest and trustworthy reputation, your training as an expert, and then two, ethics are what occurs during your actions, including how smoothly you speak, eye contact, gestures, and vocal quality. Taken together, a person's reputation and delivery make up their use of ethics, or as Aristotle would have called it, their ethos. Today, we might call these factors a person's image. So I asked, would my image be tarnished if I simply updated and printed out a copy of that old speech? Some of you would say, who would know? Some of you would probably throw my own words back at me and say, work smarter, not harder. All it would take for me to feel as if my ethos or credibility was in question would be one person approaching me after this evening and saying, I really liked your speech the first time you presented it. Because a person's ethics are determined by the community that surrounds them, that one person who had heard the speech before could possibly begin to question my ability, mar my credibility, and begin to weaken my ethos. However, Aristotle finishes his definition by saying that a person should possess friendliness and sincerity, intelligence and knowledge, and good moral character. Let's examine the importance of these additional components to an individual's character or ethics. A recent example of questionable ethics might be the professional football player Michael Vick, a first-round pick during the 2001 NFL Draft. In August of 2007, Mr. Vick pleaded guilty to federal felony charges because of the illegality of his dogfighting operation and the unspeakable living conditions of the animals in his bad news kennels. Mr. Vick served 21 months in prison, followed by 2 months in home confinement. Was he thinking about his loss of ethics as he committed these illegal acts, or did he think that his position as a professional athlete would protect him? Although he has served his time and returned to the NFL, he is attempting to repair his ethics, knowing that although he is having renewed successes at a job that he loves, what he does off the field greatly impacts his future and the lives of his family and the young people who look up to him because of his position. When you Google Michael Vick now, you might have to look down about 10 entries to find a story about his past behavior, but it's still there, thanks to the World Wide Web. And Mr. Vick's ethics will never be regarded the same since his conviction, because his credibility has now come into question. Current political campaigns intentionally veer from important discussions regarding domestic policy and international issues to campaigns that focus on marring a potential candidate's ethics or question past unethical behaviors. In our mind, an ethical person equals an ethical leader. Is it important for a leader to display ethical behavior? We are hiding our heads in the sand if we don't believe that our past actions do have some impact on our futures. Now, those of you involved in the National Honor Society understand that this isn't just a group for the smart kids. The standards of the National Honor Society that you are about to hear only help to create an ethical guide by which you can lead your lives. As scholars, you have figured out that the acquiring of knowledge is a good thing. And the more you know, the more confidence you have in yourselves. Socrates, who is frequently given the title of the father of Western ethics, said that people will naturally do what is good provided they know what is right. Evil and bad actions are a result of ignorance. Your teachers have strived to make sure that you learn at least one new thing every day, and your yearning for knowledge will continue because of the groundwork that has been established in your classrooms. The universities that you aspire to attend believe that these ethical and moral standards are a part of the pillars of the National Honor Society to teach students that they would like to have on their particular campuses. The Kansas State University Handbook reads, "All academic relationships ought to be governed by a sense of honor, fair play, trust, and a readiness to give appropriate credit to the intellectual endeavors of others where such credit is due." In other words, don't cheat. Represent yourselves fairly and your knowledge as your own. Be ethical in your educational pursuits. Oh, they go on to outline very clearly what constitutes academic integrity, and they do expect that you have read that section also before you attend. Now, the University of Kansas actually has a quiz for you to take regarding academic ethics. For example, questions might include, and I quote, that copying a friend's lab results and turning it in as yours is cheating, even if you did the experiment and didn't have time to write up the results. Or another, if you know that someone is looking at your test and you don't stop them, you are academically unethical. KU's statement is that academic integrity is a central value in higher education. It rests on two principles. First, that academic work is represented truthfully as to its source and its accuracy. And second, that academic results are obtained by fair and authorized means. I find it weird that it kind of mirrors Aristotle's definition of the exact same term. The National Honor Society standards of scholarship and character combine very well with both Aristotle and Socrates' original principles and standards of ethics. Now, in addition to scholarship, the commitment that you have made to your community shines through in the volunteer service in which you have participated. We used to question why it was important for us to give of ourselves and of our time and talents without some kind of monetary reward. But the cool thing is, I don't have to tell you why. You continue to complete these tasks selflessly, and you've already started to build your own credibility as an ethical person. The March 21st, 2015 edition of Fortune magazine listed the top 10 companies where volunteerism is an important part of their culture. These businesses range from construction, energy, and healthcare, but it's kind of odd that out of the 10 companies, 5 were actually in the tech industry. And the average number of yearly hours that were required for each employee to participate in volunteer activities was approximately 60 hours per year. Companies today want you to be a part of the communities where you work. These positive actions that you display help build your credibility and ethics as an individual, and you become the type of employee that they are actually searching for. Now, maintaining this credibility is not easy. However, through your involvement in school clubs and activities, and the support that you give your friends and fellow classmates in their functions, you're establishing your character and your ethics. Now, many of my students who are uninvolved kind of complain sometimes about the trouble that they always seem to be in, and I sometimes hate to tell them that it's because they haven't participated in anything. Subsequently, they've chosen a community of people who share that same lack of involvement. There's nothing for them to do except get in trouble. They think the smart kids are immune from punishment. But what they haven't figured out is that involvement in these positive activities and being around like-minded people is what keeps them from getting into these troubling situations. Okay, so this message just kind of came about because I didn't want to feel guilty about presenting a speech that I had prepared before. What I was able to accomplish in my attempts to maintain my personal definition of ethics and credibility became the basis for something else that I might be able to look back upon and be proud. In a moment, you will be asked to recite the National Honor Society Pledge. As you recite each word, think about what the pledge asks you to do. And while you might not be required to commit it to memory, the words will continue to impact your future. Once again, let me congratulate each and every one of you on a job well done. I, along with your parents and your teachers who are present and friends, are very proud of what you have willingly given back to the community of Topeka West High School. Now, we will light 4 candles which represent the 4 pillars of the National Honor Society.
Leadership. You are not here merely to make a living. You are here in order to enable the world to live more amply, with greater vision, with a finer spirit of hope and achievement. You are here to enrich the world, and you impoverish yourself if you get the errand. Woodrow Wilson.
Scholarship. A good head and good heart are always a formidable combination. But when you add to that a literate tongue or pen, then you have something very special. Nelson Mandela.
Character. You
Nearly all men can stand adversity, but if you want to test a man's character, give him power. Abraham Lincoln.
No, just
Put
a
the
minute.
match.
There you go.
That's what we're here for.
Service. At the end of life, we will not be judged by how many diplomas we have received, how much money we have made, how many great things we have done. We will be judged by, I was hungry and you gave me something to eat. I was naked and you clothed me. I was homeless and you took me in. Mother Teresa.
Now we're going to do the presentation of the pens and the certificates. So when I call you, or when Mr. Dick calls your name, please come up and sponsors stand, and then we'll get back to your seat.
Addison Donahue. Katie Evanson. Jensen Fair. Hannah Gerard. Emily Hodge. Jada Keeling. Alexis Kelly. Camille Parman. Arlene Quintana. And Ramon Santiago.
Hi, if we could have all of our inductees and sponsors stand, please. Please share your program and locate on the back page with the National Honor Study Set. Everyone's ready? I pledge myself to uphold the high purposes of the National Honor Society, to which I have been selected. I will be true to the principles for which it stands. I will be loyal to my school, and will maintain and encourage high standards of scholarship, service, leadership, citizenship, and character.
You may be seated. Thank you for coming. There are refreshments over there. You're welcome to them. We have concluded our ceremony for the evening. You're also welcome to leave if you would like, as it is late. So, thank you all for coming.